up, everyone? I've been asked many questions about what's happening at MV Agusta and what the future holds for them. And to be clear, that isn't really the subject of this video, but as you will see, what I'm talking about here will have a knock-on effect. Timur Sardarov, the owner of MV Agusta, said a new 4-cylinder engine to replace the F4 would take until at least 2027 to finish. So, when the new Rush model came along with over 200 horsepower, I was intrigued, to say the least. Well, what this video is about is a very underpublicised deal that was made a few years ago, which is now starting to have an effect across the motorcycle marketplace. You see, you might remember a few years ago, before the supposed buyout of MV Agusta by KTM, that QJ Motors won the contract to build what was to become the ill-fated 5.5 adventure bike that was never built. It should have been, in theory, an affordable 500cc MV Agusta adventure bike built by the people behind the Benelli brand. Part of that agreement initially was that QJ Motors would have access to the MV Agusta F4 tech, but it was expanded to include all the tech MV Agusta had at the time, so the F3, F4 and various Brutale platforms. The first of the bikes based on those designs are now coming through to us, and QJ Motors now have their own F4 based sports bike in the form of the QJ Motors SRK 1000RR, a super naked called the SRK 1000 Raw, and also a bike called the SU9. Contrary to what you may hear in many videos, these are definitely not a V4 design, they are all across the frame 4s. The engine is a reworked version of the Brutale 920 engine, which itself came from the F4. These are the first big 4-cylinder designs, and for the SU9 they have gone with the looks of the MV Agusta Super Veloce, but with a much detuned 900cc 4-cylinder power plant rather than the highly tuned 3-cylinder engine of the MV Agusta. They have kept the crank design and the 55mm stroke length, but instead of the 76mm bores of the MV-F4, it is sleeved down to 73mm, giving a total capacity of 921cc. Instead of the 200 horsepower 1000cc Brutale engine, where the power is produced high at 13,000 RPM, in the SU9 we get a softer tune with a maximum output of 130 horsepower at just 10,000 RPM, with max torque of 93 Newton meters or just under 70 foot-pounds, coming in down at 8,000 RPM. That will never make it competitive with the MV, but it is comparable to many big 4-pots on the market, and the SRK 1000 Raw, a super naked based on the MV Agusta Rush design, and the SRK 1000 RR, which is an F4 derived sports bike, do push the power further. All are using the same 921cc engine in various states of tune. Claimed power on the SRK 1000 is 144 horsepower, and on the SRK 1000 RR they initially announced 161 horsepower, although the latest specs seem to show significantly less than that. These might not be close to class-leading performance yet, but given time we will see. This is yet another big step for the Chinese motorcycle industry, but I do get fed up with bikes being announced 2 or even 3 years before they are available. That is an industry issue though, with Triumph and BMW probably the biggest culprits there. Having access to all of the MV designs back to the glory days of Cagiva could mean that QJ Motors may even have the drawings from the Mito and Elephant as well as the original 750 F4, and that is some catalogue. Chinese manufacturers regularly throw a spanner in the works of the more established motorcycle manufacturers, and these attempts have often been met with varying degrees of ridicule and laughter from the historic manufacturers, as well as from the sector of the public not yet ready for the awakening of the Chinese industry. But that is changing. The success of bikes like the CF Moto 450, Kove 800 have made them take the new wave of Chinese bikes more seriously. QJ Motors are big players, and when you realise that the brand is owned by the all-powerful Geely Group, who also own Volvo Cars, Lynk & Co, Zeekr, Polestar, Lotus, Farazon and more, you have to take some notice. Just a brief moment. The topics I cover aren't favoured by the YouTube algorithm these days. They often get buried, so your support is crucial. Whether it's hitting the like button, subscribing, sharing them on the forums or groups, commenting or supporting me via the Ko-fi group, it all helps me keep going. It makes a real difference and helps get the content out to more people. Thanks to all of the people who help for being there, and if you'd like to join the private group on the Ko-fi link, you are most welcome. Anyway, back to the bikes. In the manufacturer's own words, the SRK 1000 Roadster is a motorcycle designed to impress the market. Known for working with Italian styling agencies, QJ's Roadster is undoubtedly a muscular-looking motorcycle. You could describe the styling of the SRK simply as aggressive, somewhere between a Ducati Monster and an MV Agusta Brutale. Two big air ducts underline the shape of the fuel tank, but they are there to conceal the radiators and turn what could have easily become an eyesore into an aesthetically pleasing, if a little bloated, profile. The rear is very minimal, and the ultimately uselessly small, high-mounted rear seat is cradled by two fins that run underneath and make the seat look like it's floating above the rear frame. The twin exhausts are pushed up high under the seat to give a clear view of the single-sided swing arm, and they do tidy up the look of the back end. The creation of these three machines has been made possible by what has now become a full-on joint venture. This allows QJ Motors to exploit all of the Varese brand's engines and cycle parts, and what's more, many former MV Agusta employees now work directly for QJ Motors. The trellis-style frame and alloy side plates give it the look of the illegitimate child of a Ducati and an Aprilia, and to be fair, it is at least better looking than the latest range of Ducati monsters. It has Marzocchi adjustable upside-down front forks and a centrally mounted multi-link rear suspension, and it also has Brembo brakes. You get twin 320mm front discs, complete with style Emma 4-piston calipers and a single 260mm disc on the back, so they haven't scrimped when it comes to the running gear. They even entered the MotoGP arena, albeit only as a sponsor for the Gresini Moto2 team. But it all went a little bit pear-shaped. Gresini Racing's Moto2 team had a sponsorship agreement with QJ Motors, but a controversy arose when rider Manuel Gonzalez wore a hachimaki, which is a Japanese headband, during a race weekend in Japan. QJ Motors saw this as offensive, which is a long story for a different channel, but it led them to requesting that Gresini drop Gonzalez, but Gresini instead removed QJ Motors branding from their Moto2 bikes for the rest of the 2024 season, in solidarity with the rider. So there is a long way to go yet before we are likely to see a genuine QJ Motors factory team in MotoGP or World Superbikes, but I'm sure that time will come. Kove and I guess you could say CF Moto are leading that charge at the moment. For now, we have three new models coming to market that are effectively Chinese-built MV Agustas. And you can see from this how Zhang Shui might have got his hands on the F3800 triple engine he has been developing since leaving Kove. The difference being, he has taken the engine forward in terms of absolute power, instead of dialing it back. The most powerful MV Agusta 800cc F3, the F3RR, only manages to put out about 147 horsepower, and the ZXJC 820RR is hitting over 150 horsepower stock. Top speed of the MV Agusta F3RR is around 150 miles an hour or 240 kilometers an hour, but the aim of the ZXJC project is 299 kilometers an hour or almost 186 miles per hour. That is a huge jump, and until the bike arrives we won't really know for certain. But you can be sure that there will be some very muscular, high-powered bikes rolling off certain production lines in China and into showrooms in your locality soon. What do you think about the fact that MV Agusta signed up to a joint venture with QJ Motors? Will you consider looking at the new high-powered Chinese motorcycles that are coming to take on the Western markets? How long will it be before the likes of QJ Motors and others can compete in World Superbikes or MotoGP? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Try and remember to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, and sharing the video anywhere you think people will be interested helps us a lot too. If you would like to help us stay truly independent, you can make a one-off donation or join our group of monthly subscribers on the Ko-fi link in the description. There you get access to a private group where I share videos I can't screen on YouTube. Join us on Rumble too. The channel is new, but it already has some great content. And don't forget, we make the best Biker T-shirts too. Hundreds of original designs on premium quality T-shirts and neck gaiters, all available worldwide. Links to the main website and the Redbubble shop are in the description. Have a great week, and always remember, keep your spanners close and your keys even closer. Ride free, everyone!